I can refer you to a cover document 9082. It talks about aeronautical charges being able to be a cost recovery. As it is now, we as the authority, what we are investing or what we are putting out to service the industry is not the same amount that we get. We get less than that. So if you take all this thing into consideration, we together as the industry, we have to sit down to say, what can we do? Another option is for the authority to increase the price a bit, at least to get the cost recovery, then we'll be able to retain the inspector. So it's a question that we need to be sitting down because we are all causing the damage, to be honest. And at least the minister said we should be candid, and thank you for that. So we all have to be honest and see how we can help each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I think we're right about 5 minutes. So I'm going to pair two questions together, coming in mostly from the pilots as well as also some of the industry members here, the companies. So one is airline transport pilot license examinations, as well as the flight and duty time limitations. So with regards to these ATPL exams, as they're called, so the industry is asking, why is it that they're subjected to undergo an ATO before they can write these examinations? And was there an industry engagement about it? Because largely people are not really finding the legislation regarding this particular thing. This has caused some members to even leave the country to go do these examinations outside, something that is not in line with the mandate of the current administration to make sure that we improve our economy here in Botswana. Can you weigh in on that? And then before I finish, before you weigh in, and then flight and duty time. So largely we know that the regulations are saying 160 hours is the maximum that pilots are allowed to be rostered to fly within a 28-day period. So this has been reduced from 200 hours. Was there stakeholder engagement about it? What is CAB trying to do about it? Because the industry is complaining that this is stifling the industry, whereas now they have to employ much more people to be able to make sure that they are able to move or transport people here in Botswana. Thank you.
Okay, I think the first one with the exam, let me just go straight and forward with it. Those are one of those that we also believe as CAB, during our next review, we have to be considering your concerns. So I think that one, let's leave it that way. There's a room to work on it on that one. On the 160 hours, I want to believe the industry is reading the regulation partially. They are reading it from Regulation 68 of aircraft operation. Regulation 67 of aircraft operations, it talks about fatigue management. And fatigue management includes both prescriptive and fatigue risk management system. So you can either comply in two ways, or both. You can either go through the prescriptive, which is 160. If the 160 is not working for you, subregulation 37 1B, it says you can use fatigue risk management system. Subregulation sub 1C, it says then you can comply with the requirement of 67 subregulation 5. Subregulation 5, it laid the requirement to meet with the fatigue risk management system. Now, when we realign our manuals with the new regulation, the industry, when they go there, they say it is not applicable. So if they said it's not applicable to them, I'm not quite sure if they didn't understand what is fatigue risk management is, because that's exactly what they're complaining about right now. Because that give an operator the chance to say 160 hours is not working for me. I'll come up with a risk assessment. I'll come up with a scientific method how I came to it, and I'll come up with a fatigue risk management policy to engage my staff to say we need to monitor if we are aligned with that. That is what is in the regulation. For some reason, actually we spoke about it on the regulation engagement last time. We agreed that we will comply with Regulation 67, Subregulation 5. So up until now, we have not received anything. But if we read it in totality, there's a way to go out for that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm just going to try and squeeze in one last one, the two last ones just before we start getting into the Q&A, because now we're eating into the Q&A time. Training captains, check pilots, and aircraft blanket ratings, as they are called. I believe they're dubbed that way. So we speak of harmonizing the regulations in our region. And we see that in our region, according to industry members, things are easier in neighboring countries than they are in Botswana. So some of these things are regarding training captains and check pilots. So we understood that CAB a couple of years ago said that for a person to become a training captain, they must now undergo instructor training. But of recent, we learned that there's even an organization that is providing a type rating instructor certification that will allow the operators here in Maun to train their personnel, right? So, but now we heard from the same industry members that now they're being subjected to writing an examination as an initial or ab initio instructor, as they are calling it. So we just want you to weigh on it, and also about the blanket rating where a pilot is allowed to operate aircrafts of a similar nature, because this is also something that is heavily stifling the industry here in Botswana, unlike our neighboring countries. Please weigh in.
Yeah, let me start with the one for the check pilot. This is Regulation 148 of aircraft operation to Regulation 150. I've never seen anywhere where you talk about instructors. Probably we should also review it or revisit it. It does not require somebody to have an instructor's rating for them to be a check pilot. About the training captain, we don't have anything called training captain in the regulation. And I'm very careful to talk about training captain, because even across the industry, you are using that word interchangeably. This other industry is a good word that is used commonly, but it's very important to also clarify when you say training captain in your op company, what do you mean? Because other companies, they mean training captain for somebody who issue initial type rating. Other, they say training captain for somebody who is a line trainee. So I think it's very important for me, before I answer, to say the context of the word training captain, what does it mean?
Okay, maybe we'll get that. No Q&A, sir? All right. Okay, so folks, it looks like we are out of time. Do you want to just give any closing statements regarding what we just spoke about today, gentlemen, to the industry?
I think we've addressed quite a few of the concerns that they had. What I can say is, from a legal standpoint, in terms of policy and legislation, we desire to now do things differently in terms of engagements with yourselves. Because with you, that is how we achieve our target, that is how we achieve our mandate. With your input, that is how we are able to see if we are doing things right or not. And I believe with engagements, full-on engagements going forward, we can achieve higher targets as a nation.
Okay, thank you so much. Master of Ceremonies is now going to start cracking the whip on us. So I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being up here and talking to us about it. For the industry, we know there was no Q&A because there was no time allocated. There's not enough time for us. However, I believe these gentlemen in the panel here are available for any inquiries that you might have that we have not addressed today. That's why they are here to help grow the industry. But thank you very much. Can we give them a round of applause?
Thank you so much, Mr. Mosweta. Another round of applause to the gentleman. Did very well moderating that particular session. Unfortunately, he ran out of time. I'm very strict with the time, unfortunately, especially after you've had lunch. You really don't want to speak for too long, lest your audience utilize that as a lullaby. We're going to swiftly move right along, but I'm just going to remind you quickly that, a little later on, at about 7 p.m. out at the Riley's, Chris O'Reilly's, Puma Energy is inviting all delegates to the welcome dinner. So let's all converge there a little bit later on. Right. Now I'm going to call, or rather move on to the next session. And I'm just going to remind them of the rules of engagement here. You've got 40 minutes to interrogate the topic. And also involve the audience as well, because, we do have a few of us here that actually have interest in these particular topics, and perhaps the questions that they could put to them could also add a bit of value in terms of the response coming out of the professionals that are the panelists. So let me call to the audience, rather to the stage, the moderator, Mr. Isaac Mabote. He is the CAAB Director, Airport Services. And with a round of applause, he makes his way here. I think I'll do him the honors of also calling his panelists, and they'll just do the same procedure of introducing themselves at a later stage. If I could also have Mrs. Maun Tesfaye, coming out of Ethiopian Airlines station manager here in Maun, to also come through to the stage with a round of applause. Right, they just changed the rules on me. Thank you for that. Right, so there is going to be a presentation first, and then only the panelists will be called on. Looks like the presentation is a way of calling them to the stage. A bit of a theatrical thing that is happening in the aviation industry, but let me allow him to proceed with the presentation and run it the way he would love it to be ran. Thank you so much. Take it away.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, and good afternoon. And let me humbly ride on the protocol that has already been established. Thank you. I will do a quick presentation. The session is going to be in two parts. First, it's going to be a brief presentation on Botswana Air Access and Aviadev 2026. Thereafter, then we will have a panel discussion. What is Botswana Air Access? With Botswana Air Access, this morning, His Excellency, the President, talked about it. The Honorable Minister of Transport talked about it. My CEO talked about it. And we have it on the screen here. What we have done is we decided to adopt some social behavior that we see in some animals, where they hunt in packs, where you know that lions, wolves, hyenas, they hunt in packs. And the reason they do that is to try and make it easy to get a kill. And also, basically, it's easier to even kill a bigger prey. So these are our partners, Business Botswana, HATAB, Botswana Investment Trade Center, Botswana Tourism, and Tabot. Botswana Air Access facilitates an effective platform for career engagement. There's 4 pillars there for route development or air service development. One is the stakeholder collaboration, which I just talked about, that we work as partners to actually drive the mandate of Botswana Air Access. And then we have a single point of contact. We have created a one-stop shop for this program, for the simple reason that when you have all those partners in place, when you talk to a carrier or to an airline, you can actually provide all the information, all the data that is required at once, because when we prepare for an engagement with a carrier or an airline, we prepare what we call a business case. And in that business case, you'll clearly see the input from BITC, the input from BTO, all this come together, and then they help us have this single point of contact. And then pitch to carriers. Pitching to carriers, we are doing it the old-fashioned way of courting, whereby we start conversation with a carrier using that business case that we have prepared, and we do follow-ups after pitching. These follow-ups, we do them during conferences like Aviadev, like Roots World. At times, we even actually go to their head office just to go and engage them on courting them to start a route to Botswana. The last pillar there is leverage business cases beyond aviation. That's exactly what I was talking about, that we prepare these business cases, more than 50 slides that we prepare, making sure that any single point that sells Botswana and promotes Botswana, we try and capture it in that business case. So it basically gives a robust insight into Botswana. How Botswana Air Access engages with carriers and its ASD. This is exactly what I was talking about on the far right there, or on your left. Yeah, that's just a part of what we put up in a business case. You can see that we provide quite a lot of data in terms of investment, in terms of trade, in terms of the aviation data. We get more information from Botswana Tourism Organization. The Air Service Development Conference, that's what I was talking about, that we actually, when we are at conferences, we sit around a table with a carrier or an airline and engage and basically just present the business case to them. Sustainable route development objectives. So it's about the industry agreements that as we move along, when we close a deal, we end up having those agreements. We're trying to push for the, number two, there's to push for the regional routes, because we believe that if we can be able to have more regional routes, it will be far much easier for us to actually now move into intracontinental routes and intercontinental routes. Domestic, we build regional, and then we move into international routes. When I moved to Aviadev 2026, I can only say that we are highly excited that in 2026 in June, we will be hosting Aviadev 2026 conference in Gaborone. What happened here is that when we were attending Aviadev 2024 in Windhoek, we actually expressed our interest to the organizers of Aviadev conference that we would like to put up our hand to host Aviadev conference. An Aviadev conference, basically, it's a premium conference for aviation in Africa, but basically it's an international conference because we have international players attending the conference. So when we expressed our interest or to host the conference, we were told to, like, no, wait, there will be a time where the bid will be open, then you can submit your bid. And that's exactly what happened. We submitted our bid. The closing date was October 2024. Last year, the Aviadev team came to Botswana for an inspection to look at our different facilities in Gaborone to see if really we have the capacity as a country to host Aviadev 2026. So some of the pictures there, that's what we put in our bid book. And we actually had a team, including our partners, working on the bid book. And as I said, I'm just happy to say that in June this year in Zanzibar, Tanzania, we were announced as the winner to host Aviadev 2026. And we now have the working groups that are actually preparing for Aviadev 2026. And what you see here on my right, right next to me here, it's evidence of that there's already work ongoing. This is the logo for Aviadev 2026. This is the brand that you'll be seeing throughout every time we talk about Aviadev 2026. And if you look at it closely, you can see Botswana there. We have tried to represent all the sectors that talk Botswana. There's zebra there, which basically represents the wildlife. There's the desert, there's the diamonds. You can, if you look at it closely, you can see that this is representative of what Botswana represents. And like I say, this is the logo that you're going to be see quite often. This will be at the GICC next year in June. And we will make sure that all the interested parties and stakeholders are informed about the developments leading to the conference up until we go to the conference. The conference happens in 3 days, but basically it's 2 days. The first day, you can see on my far right there, that it's mostly, it starts with a career VIP tour. The career VIP tour, the way it's structured is that the airlines and carriers that I've been talking about, that we've been quoting them, we'll use the conference basically to showcase Botswana. So the plan is that for all those carriers that we are talking to, that we are engaging and trying to get them to start routes into the country, we will be taking them into the Delta, just basically to have an appreciation of our iconic Okvango Delta. The first day is also about the conference workshopping, where various topics around tourism, around aviation are basically presented to the audience. And then there's the delegation tour. The delegation tour, basically, again, it will be to give the delegates an appreciation and sightseeing of Gaborone. Just last week, there was the launch of the city tourism tour, and for me, it was exciting because one of the questions that came up when we were doing the bid book was, so for the city tour, where are you going to take people? So now we've been answered by the Gaborone city by coming up with that city tour route. And then there's the welcoming reception. Day 2 there, you can see what will be happening. And day 3, there will be like those panel discussions, and then there will be those one-on-one with the carriers that will be taking place. And normally, this conference is attended by about 500 plus minus delegates, including airlines, including tourism organizations, including manufacturers, including investment companies. So it has an array of people attending the conference. We do have the partner hotels already, the Hilton Garden Hotel 430 Protea and the GICC, obviously, because they will be the host. I'll now just quickly ask them to play us a video so that it gives you a true feeling of what AviaDev is about. Enjoy.
It is an excellent forum for Africans to meet together, discuss their challenges in the development of air transport industry in the continent, and to share experience, to identify areas of cooperation. Moreover, it provides a very convenient opportunity for networking among all stakeholders in the continent. So I found it very useful for the development of the aviation industry in Africa.
What makes this event so interesting, so valuable, so important is the opportunity to talk to people, not just to say hello, not just to have in-depth conversations, but to really get to spend time. And that's what makes AviaDev unique this year and every year. The time we get to spend to get to know not only our partners, potential partners, but other people in our ecosystem.
We had extremely good meetings with many airlines, over 12 airlines over the past 2 days, both from Africa and from outside Africa. All I can say is that there are very good indications of many of these airlines calling Windhoek sooner than later. So that to me is a positive takeaway.
This is such a unique opportunity for the airlines, the airports, and other stakeholders to come together and have conversations, not only during the formal meeting setup, but at the AviaDev morning run, at the dinners in the night. So it's just all the time you're hearing this chatter, which is really, really exciting. It's really energetic, and you just see that we all have this one goal. It's to move the African aviation market forward.
It's always a great pleasure to come over to the AviaDev conferences, because indeed what it is all about is meeting colleagues, peers, all the stakeholders who are present, the airlines, talking to the airports, and coincidentally we have messages and information to pass to all of them. So that is indeed really the place to be, and to have everybody in the same location to exchange and to explore opportunities.
Are told, some stories are better told through a movie. So basically, this was Zanzibar this year, and the expectation is that we've been to Windhoek, Namibia, we were in Zanzibar, it will be Botswana next year, and what we have committed as a Botswana Air Access is that we are going to do better than Windhoek, and we are going to do better than Zanzibar. And that doesn't mean Botswana Air Access, it means all of us in this room, and any other interested parties and stakeholders. What are the opportunities for the private sector? We talked about the 6 members of Botswana Air Access. But for us, the puzzle is far from complete. There's only one piece that is missing in the puzzle, just to make sure that we have this Botswana Air Access program going in full force. So there's need for the private sector to come into play. The private sector is the missing piece in the puzzle. So we are now talking to the private sector. This morning I was distributing envelopes to some of the private sector sectors in the room, and trust me, those were not brown envelopes. They were white from CAAB, and kindly go through the letters in those envelopes. They are very, very important because they talk to how the private sector can play a part in route development or air service development. There'll still be more envelopes being distributed, and even here, if you want to be part of the journey, we are around. You can talk to us. We will make sure that we engage each other so that you become part of Botswana Air Access through financial support, and also AviaDev 2026 to make sure that it's a success. The column in the middle there basically says to you, what is in it for you as the private sector? One is the improved global access, supporting Botswana's development, supply chain and trade improvements, boosting tourism, brand recognition, and the CSR alignment. For brand recognition, basically is that when we move around attending conferences or our partners in Botswana Air Access having conferences, we will make sure that we flesh out your name to show that you support the Botswana Air Access initiative. So I really, really encourage the private sector to be part and parcel of what we are trying to achieve for this beautiful country. I think with this now, I have to move to the panel discussion. I'm definitely sure I'm not doing good with time.
You're only left with 10 minutes of panel discussion. Please use it wisely.
Let me then just quickly call the panelists to the front. Let me just quickly call the panelists to the front. Josias, Tendai, please. Quite an interesting panel, and because of time, we'll just have to quickly go into it. So let me welcome Maun Tesfaye. Maun is the area manager for Ethiopian Airlines in Botswana. Maun, if you can just, with show of hands so that people get to, And then we have the Puma Energy Managing Director, Metendai Mwewe. Yeah. And lastly, we have my captain, Josiah Swalubita from ProFlight Zambia. Because of time, I wouldn't do much in giving you their profiles, but they will just maybe use 30 seconds to introduce themselves. But let me start with you, Maun, with your question, and again, welcome. And let's talk about the airport infrastructure developments in world-class airports. Are moving at a very fast pace, with technology being at the center of driving these developments. If you can just share your experience as Ethiopian Airlines, because we know that as Ethiopian Airlines, you fly almost to every corner of the world, and your experiences with all types of airports. If you can just maybe share that experience with us.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mabute. As Ethiopian Airlines, yes, we do fly to more than 160 domestic, international passenger, and cargo destinations. So as you said, some of these flights are to smart airports like Singapore, who are end-to-end smart. So to cope up with that, we have to be also fitting to their environment. For that, we do use our association with IATA as an IATA member. We follow IATA direction, and also we are a Star Alliance member. From that also assists us to cope up with the technology requirements for smart airports. And following that, we also have implemented most of the smart airport concepts in our own airport. A smart airport usually, if you, for us a customer, when you look at it, it's like a contactless travel. Most of you have traveled and have seen it when you check in, bag drop, immigration, everywhere. You don't have human contact, it would be smart. So we did try to implement most of that. We have like the online, we offer digital boarding pass, baggage drop-off, kiosk check-in, and the like for our customers currently. And we are continuously working to improve that at our airports also.
Thank you for that, Maun. Ms. Mwawa, Puma Energy, the sustainability of Puma Energy operations in Botswana is directly linked to the number of carriers operators in an airport and their level of activity. Therefore, what role does Puma Energy play in driving route development to safeguard its survival in these airports?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mabote, and all protocols observed. That's a very interesting question. I wouldn't look at it primarily around the survival of Puma Energy Botswana. So Puma Energy Botswana has been in Botswana since 2010. Our purpose is to energize communities. That's what we do. And we do that by bringing quality services, fuel, in this instance, aviation fuel. Two areas we focus on is safety and reliability, so that we are able to do that to any customer, anywhere, wherever they need. So that's our primary purpose of why we are here in Botswana. We've been here over those years, invested significantly in the country, and we are not just in Botswana. We are part of a larger group. We are in 35 countries across the world, over 100 airports across the world. We are in 17 countries in Africa, 89 airports in Africa. So how does then that impact when we look at the question that you have posed? What we see ourselves as being a part of the development of the Botswana economy, and primarily in three areas. So the first area is partnering with yourselves, with the government and yourselves, the CAB, our regulator, other stakeholders, in order to improve the aviation sector. So we are very excited, particularly around your presentation around AviaDev. We will be partnering with you on that. A lot of these airlines, a lot of these partners that you're trying to bring to Botswana are probably people who are working with Puma in some capacity in one of our countries in Africa or across the globe. They are clear of what are the standards that we hold around safety, around reliability, particularly in the aviation sector, which are very, very important. So we will play our part in ensuring that when they come into Botswana, they will come and meet a partner that they probably already know, that they're probably already comfortable with around the areas of safety, around the areas of risk management when they come in, so that when they come in and they want to fuel in Botswana and they want to bring tourists to Botswana and improve our economy. I think we heard all those stats that Dr. Bao or the chairman raised around the multiplier effects of the dollars you invest, or if you increase so much in aviation, your 10% brings about a 1% increase in GDP growth. That is something that is of benefit to the economy of Botswana and to many people in this room and some outside. So the areas we partner is government partnership, stakeholder partnership, ensure that we have reliable fuel coming into the country, reliability around security of supply, and thirdly, around ensuring that we continue to comply with the safety standards, the IATA standards, the JIG standards, ICAO standards, which is what we have always done and we continue to do. So what we would say is we are a partner with you and all the other stakeholders to make sure that this vision that we have of improving access here in Botswana, aviation access, and bringing more carriers is going to happen.
Thank you for that response, Tendai. Captain Josias, thank you for traveling all the way from Lusaka to be with us here. We really appreciate. Proflight, we are quoting Proflight, it's an open secret. Captain, there must be a lot that goes into starting a new route from conception to the launch of the route. Please share with us the major elements that go into the quick import until the launch, plus important elements post the launch required to sustain a route. Thank you.
Thank you, Moderator, Mr. Mabote, and good afternoon, delegates. So I think route development is a very important aspect for any airline. I think in order for the airline to survive and grow, I think route development has to be a major aspect of an airline's strategy. So the process of starting a new route can be complex, but just for the sake of time, I will summarize. I think the first step is assessing the market. I think you have to check whether there's an appetite for the route. Do a proper market analysis, then also check what the competition is for that particular route. Then once that assessment is done, the next step is basically like a management of change process. So with this management of change process, you're basically checking that the operations would be able to sustain this new route, i.e. what aircraft would be optimum for this new route. You look at your safety aspects, and most important, the financial side of the new route. And then once all that has been done, then you can move on to the regulatory stage. So if the route involves a cross-border flight, then obviously the 2 CAAs or even 3 CAAs will have to be engaged so that the proper paperwork will be in place for the airline to launch the new route. And only when you have, for example, your foreign operator's permit, then you can move on to the other important aspect, which is marketing the route. Because if you don't market the route, no one will fly with you. So once the marketing is done, then the route commences, the job is not done. Once the route commences, it's important that you have real-time data analysis. So you need to check the basics, which will be your market share, your load factor, and most important, the yield management. Because a lot of people think, as long as an aircraft is departing with full seats, then the airline is making money, contrary to what the layman would think. So yield management is very important so that the airline manages to place prices that are in tandem with the demand on the current route that the airline has embarked on. So I think in a nutshell, those are the basic elements of what an airline will need to do when it comes to route development. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. We've run out of time, so what I will do, Maun, 30 seconds. What's your parting shot? We love ET.
Okay. Thank you. We love Botswana also. So we have been operating for the past 10 years in Botswana, connecting Botswana to the rest of the world. So we'd want to continue this partnership, and we also want to add additional partnership, like work with Air Botswana to expand our connections within Botswana and Southern Africa. So, thank you.
Thank you. Then 30 seconds. 1, 2.
Thank you very much. Puma Energy Botswana is here to continue to support the government, to continue to support the initiatives by the CAB, other stakeholders around improving the access of aviation into Botswana. We will continue to do what we know how to do best, which is in our DNA, to ensure that we bring reliably aviation fuel into Botswana, and we do it safely on every single day that we do, so that when the new airlines are coming into Botswana, they know that they have trusted partners that they can work with. Thank you very much, Mr. Mabote.
Captain, 30 seconds.
So ProFlight Zambia is an airline domiciled in Lusaka, Zambia, and we primarily operate domestic sectors to all the major provinces of Zambia. And within the region, we also fly to Cape Town and Johannesburg. And very excited to mention that from the 3rd of March 2026, we're starting a new route to Windhoek, and this route will be tied in with Livingston, which has the mighty Victoria Falls. And most important, we've just recently received our foreign operators permit from the CAB, and will soon be announcing a new route between Lusaka and some destinations in Botswana. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of this session. Unfortunately, because of time, we cannot do a Q&A. Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, and thank you to the panelists.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause to the moderator, Ramabote, as well as the panelists. You may vacate the stage. And I'd like to say I'm very excited at the fact that Botswana will be hosting the AviaDev 2026. And I'm also very excited that Mr. Boche and the CEO, Dr. Musinya, have since accepted my bid to host the AviaDev 2026. I'll see you there. Right, at this juncture, I'd just like to call to the stage the moderator. Another topic, emerging aviation and space technologies in Botswana, drones. The moderator is Marang Bakanyi from Drones Africa. She will come and perform the same operation where she will interrogate a topic, unpack a topic, and call her panelists, and then proceed with the conversation. With a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am just going to ask my panelists to just come up front, and then we'll start the conversation as soon as they come up front. We'll do the introductions once they're here. Ke borre ba ba kgwamollo leta uta le lona hore ke pikile. Okay, it is an honor to welcome you to this session, Emerging Aviation and Space Technologies in Botswana, with a focus on drone technology. When we talk about aviation and space technologies, it can sound futuristic, but here in Botswana, it is our reality today. Drones are no longer toys or luxuries. We're past that stage. Now we're bringing in air taxis. We don't want to find ourselves stuck in traffic. We want to be in air taxis, taking us from one place to the other. So drones are powerful tools that are transforming the healthcare by delivering medical supplies faster, supporting conservation by protecting our wildlife, revolutionizing agriculture through precision farming, and even enhancing mining exploration and national security. So this is just more than technology. It's about how we imagine our future as a nation. Now, this is my ask. As much as we've been chosen to be the ones in front, this is our conversation, like everyone in the room. Drones are not about a few experts on stage. They're about all of us. They touch every aspect of our everyday life. So as we go along, I want everyone in this room to feel free to reflect, to question, to add a voice, because this conversation is bigger than us. It's about Botswana, it's about our future, and it's about how we take part in shaping it. So, I am going to go straight and welcome the 3 brilliant minds who each will bring their vital perspective to this conversation. But the first man that I want to introduce is called Dr. Dimani Mpoeling. He's sitting in the middle. I'll justify as to why I'm introducing him first. He's the BOTS SEND project lead, steering Botswana satellite project, and driving advanced research that connects the drones to the wider space ecosystem. When I was doing my master's research at BUST, I didn't know what to select or what research topic to do or to work on. And my supervisor, Dr. Mpoeling, said, consider drones. And at that time, I didn't know what a drone was. I went on and did my research. I found out where Botswana is in this thing. I found out where Africa is in this thing. And I went to SIPA running, and I registered Drones for Africa. So the reason why Drones for Africa is what it is today is because of Dr. Mpoeling. Thank you, Dr. Mpoeling. I will also introduce Dr. Thabo Simon, who is the project lead at BUST Drones, pioneering the research and applied innovation in UAV technologies. Dr. Simon. I will also introduce Mr. Christopher Ferguson, who's the Director of Flight Safety at the Civil Aviation Authority of Botswana, ensuring that we innovate boldly, we also fly safely and responsibly within a global regulatory framework. So, Baraba have long bios, you know? So I'm just going to invite each one of them to just briefly introduce themselves in their own words, and then I will get straight to what we're here for. So Dr. Simon, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Simon. I'm a senior lecturer at BUST at the Department of Computing and Informatics. I'm also the project lead for BUST Drones, as have been said. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Mpoeling.
Afternoon. Okay, yes. I'm Dimani Mpoeling, and I'm the project lead of Botswana Satellite Project at BUST.
So they've made it very easy for me. I'll also be short. Like she said, I'm called Christopher Ferguson. I'm the Director of Flight Safety Oversight. I've been in aviation since 1989, and I believe I have something we can talk about today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let me go straight to it. Dr. Mpoeling, you were one of the first people to encourage me to look into drones, right? Not only me, like you introduced the drones at BUST. And looking back, what inspired you to see potential in this space so early? And to add on that, as the Botswana project lead, how do you see drones connecting with the satellite technology to strengthen Botswana's position in aviation and space? Thank you very much. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Let me start with the drones one. When I was young, I wish I could be a pilot. And I realized I was never going to be one. So I said, no, I better at least fly something that I'm not in. So it has to be a drone. So that's how it happened. But the other obvious niche was there were no drones in the sky 15 years ago. So that's how I got interested in something that was lacking. Now, the second question was, where do you see Earth observation satellite like Botswana, your satellite, by the way, overlap with drones? By the way, these two functions, the functions of these two are the same. The difference is this. Another one is called a spacecraft, and it's flying at, right now, 600 kilometers above Earth, and it's flying at 28,000 kilometers per hour. But it's all doing Earth observation. And another one, 68,000 kilometers per hour. By the way, it takes 40 seconds, Gaborone, Francistown, to take pictures. Another one, of course, Dr. Simon's turf, a drone, flying at maybe 5 kilometers, flying at 100 kilometers per hour. But they are both observing Earth. So the main difference is the scale of space and clarity of images. So they are both crafts. Now, another one looks at Earth wider, that is a satellite. Another one, narrow view drones, but higher resolution. Now, what will be interesting during this discussion, by the way, will be the regulatory issues where they have to mesh. I'll give you an example. In our recent discussions with the local, I would say, law enforcement, is that now what we will do, that is the idea of how we're going to use Botswana. Now, we will employ AIs to image recognition and processing at high speed. Now, imagine a satellite sees something that is suspicious of. Giraffes near an airport, or elephants, or poachers. Because it's too high to look at the resolution, we want a whole ecosystem, a platform that just automatically connects to a long-haul drone. The drone can go there, then view the area of interest immediately at high resolution. That triggers a lot of regulatory issues. That's why BOCRA, ITU related, and CAB will have to work together to make sure that this whole system it's seamlessly operated. One more comment, by the way. When we started this idea of drones, I have to commend CAB. They were very helpful in trying to understand what we are trying to do, and also allowing us to do what is called BVLOS. Flying a craft when you are not in it and you are not seeing where it is. We also pushed them to the limit to start considering all this, and I'm glad we mutually work together to grow the industry as it is today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mpueling. I still say, if there are any comments and you feel you want to say something right away, don't be scared to stop me, and then I'll stop and give you a chance. To Dr. Simon, BEUST has been pioneering drone projects. Can you share an example of a research initiative that has had real impact on the ground? And what are the biggest opportunities you see for drones in Botswana?
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, we have been at the forefront of drones technology as BEUST, as Dr. Mpueling has also elaborated. The biggest project that I can think of is the one that really made the country to be aware of the Bius the Drones team about the medical delivery in the Ministry of Health. That project was funded by the UNFPA. And I believe by then you are still part of the Bius the Drones team at Bius. And it's a project that we piloted in Bius or in Palape and surrounding area to demonstrate the efficiency of using drones for small commodity delivery instead of really using the road transport, because we demonstrated that it saves time, it reduces really the risk of delivery, and we demonstrated that it could be cheap in some instances also, but it also makes sure that the commodity is delivered in a very short period of time and hence saving lives. Yes, and the other question was about the industry in Botswana. I think it's a very developing, it's an industry that is developing very fast. It's a new technology, and there are so many startups that are coming up that I've interacted with, and I think there are so many low-hanging fruit in this industry, because there are so many services that are still being done using the well-known mode of transport, that if we are to use or utilize the drone technology, then the efficiency will be really highly improved. So I think there are so many opportunities really in this space, especially that in Botswana, our airspace really is not that congested. So the opportunity is very, very massive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I remember one of the projects that I am still invested in was one we were planning on delivering medicine using Setswana. When it delivers that medicine, we are mamang. Molemo ke o nwa gararo ka letsatsi he le gore o bua se kala ka e bua ka skala ka gore mongwe ta translate jang 3 times a day what not ba sa thole ba fola ka go spateleng I get e be thalosa yana ba e receive mo marung mo up in the sky be mo deliverela ba etsa ho melema ga go ya BP melema ga go ya sukiri. These are the projects that I believe we're all working on, I get even up to today. And we'll rest until we see it happen, I get. Over to you, Mr. Ferguson. CAAB plays a very critical role in regulations, alluded by Dr. Mpueling. What are the biggest challenges in regulating drone use in Botswana right now?
Thank you, Marang. I think for me, I'll take about 3 to 5 minutes to try and explain maybe what we are all about in as far as oversighting drones. Like it has been said since this morning, we are responsible for making sure that all the operators in our airspace is compliant with all the regulations that we bring out there. Just allow me to call these remote piloted aircraft instead of drones. Yeah. I would like to say that because when people look at these platforms, they look at them always on the positive. But from the point of view of the CAB, it's more than that, because as you know, those who follow like wars, like in Ukraine, there's a time when Russia attacked Ukraine with 805 drones in one single operation. So for us as the CAB, we look at these things as a whole. Now, these are some of the challenges that we experience when we talk to operators like Bomarang, because what they want is that they're looking at it only for business issues where they're only looking at one side of the coin. But from our point of view, we are looking at it as a whole. And some of the challenges that we are having is that most of the customers want service like yesterday once they want their drones for whatever business they have to do. But for us, there's a longer process that we have to go through because we need to know exactly what you are about, who you are, what you're going to do with the drone, and all that. That means we have third parties. We have to use the police, and we have to use the DIS. There's a reason why we use the DIS, because that's the only department in the country that conducts vetting. Now you find that instead of the 2 days that you'd want, you take longer than that because there are so many people that are involved in making sure that this platform is going to be used by a responsible person. So these are some of the issues that we are experiencing as the authority, that we have a lot of complaints of people complaining that they're getting service after a very long time. The other challenge that we have is that, like she said, since I think 2021, we've registered about 727 drones. A lot of youth are really utilizing these drones. And I think we made it worse sometime last year. We decided to charge half the price for youth. So almost every second, third person has a drone. And what we have to understand that these drones are oversighted. We look after them just like we look after the aircraft. So you find that it's also a strain on us because we have to use a lot of resources. So just maybe that is as much as I can explain as some of the challenges that we are having. But having said that, we are excited that the technologies are out there, and they're being used for good purposes, like she has just been saying. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. I am going to go back again to you. Mr. Ferguson. What opportunities exist for innovators to engage with CAAB to ensure compliance without stifling creativity? Because, sometimes, generally, we're thinking of a lot of creative solutions that can solve and help Botswana. And you don't want to find yourself being told to wait 3 months or 5 months, because in 5 months, it's another innovation coming up. So what is it, or what opportunity exists for innovators to engage with CAB to ensure compliance without stifling creativity? Sorry.
Thank you once again. I can assure you, even if I haven't spoken to the CEO about this one, that CAB is very open to anybody who wants to come up with anything that has to, improve our industry. I think the only problem that maybe we're experiencing is that people come up with ideas that they've worked on for 10 years, and they expect us to come to their level in 2 days. I mean, I think to make it easy for everybody is that you have to work with us from day one. If you have an idea that you want to do in 10 years, you have to let us know at the time at which you are starting, so that we must work with you. Because if we are not moving at a commensurate pace, we are going to be behind. So what I can say is that the opportunities are there. As long as you're not going to meddle with our 85.78%, we have no issues with you. We will facilitate you as much as we can. We will assist you as much as we can. But you have to work with us on time so that we work together. Thank you.
All right.
I wanted to add on that. I would like to say that I think your colleague Elion said sometimes if you want to be exempted from something, give them an alternative. So I can say that when we started at Boost, we told CAB we are going to fly a drone for 100 kilometers and we won't be there. It was like, so then we realized that we had to work with them to help ourselves, them, to at least have some sort of compliance process. So what we did, we realized that even today, the regulations of CAB, they do not that much impose on the qualifications of the pilots, the test. So what we did, we sent out our pilots to South Africa, each costing 100,000, so that we help them or us or the country or the 85% not to be affected. So sometimes you have to go extra mile to assist with something you think is not that good. One more thing, by the way, another opportunity, you mentioned earlier about opportunities. I remember one of the things that we did, now it touches regulations. We did when we were flying drones around villages in Tswapong. Most of them did not have cash points, those villages. So what we did, we used those drones to transport cash, hard cash. And we knew even if anyone knew there was cash inside, drone flying at 5 kilometers, the shooting range of AK-47 is less than a kilometer, so you can't even shoot it down. So these are ideas that we thought they could actually even be infused into regulations, whether G4S would like to use drones to transport cash. Okay, thank you.
The ideas are endless, honestly. There is a lot. I remember we helped Botswana post deliver letters from Seronga to the other side. And normally they take 5 hours to do it, and we did it in less than 60 minutes to show them that it is possible. So the possibilities are endless. And because I'm also, as much as I'm on the other side of moderating, I'm in the industry, you know. At Drones for Africa, you don't need to take people to South Africa for 100,000. We have a BQA accredited course where we're training drone pilots. And we're the only accredited drone company in Botswana as we speak. So just clearing the air. Thank you very much. I don't know if the questions or comments or anything were open for that before the last words from the panelists. Are there any questions? Is there a mic? Moving mic. Can you assist him?
Just switch it on. There's a button, just flick it to the top.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to ask a quick question. My name is Wetso Mokhosi. I represent Goliath Concepts, a logistical and strategic support company based out of Gaborone. And I just wanted to find out, do the drones have transponders? Because most of aviators would really feel safe if there were transponders so that they can be able to see or detect the drones in the air. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. Is there anyone who wants to take it?
I think as... Hello? Yes, I think as of now, I don't know any drone that has responders for now, transponders. but they might be there. But the ones that I know we have at Piust, we don't have, they don't have that. But what I can say is most of the drones that we have, they do have sensors. They have sensors such that they like if you fly it, it's not going to hit the wall or whatever. It's going to sense. But of course, it may not inform you or inform the others around it to say I'm here. But definitely it sees its surrounding.
I, at some point, want to take it back to you, Rawetu. Because you had said you are worried about something, I get. So I wanted to know, what is that worries you about drones not having transponders? I think, yeah, I get.
Thank you again for the return question.
Yes.
The main issue is when we have now drones flying beyond visual line of sight, we might now end up, like for example, I heard about flying for over a kilometer far beyond the range of an AK-47, which now tells me that that's somewhere close to where airplanes fly, at least VFR. So now the question there becomes, how do we prevent that from being an impediment to air traffic? Since now also Mr. Ferguson called it, he didn't want to use the word drones, he called it a remotely piloted aircraft. So now that puts it into the aircraft zone. So there is indeed concern that if it is not now, if they are not, if we don't have any transponders, then we might have a challenge of colliding with those drones in the air. So that's something that perhaps Mr. Ferguson can handle or tackle. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I was just keeping quiet. I had the feeling he was
coming for you.
He was pushing for that for me, but it's fine. You know, I think if you were listening in the morning, we were talking about alternative means of compliance. What we've been doing with the gentleman, like he had said, we've given them approval to work in what we call corridors. I mean, it's done like that all around the world. We actually draw out corridors where the drone will fly in a certain bubble. For example, we don't allow the aircraft to fly more than, higher than 400 feet. They don't fly at night, and so on. So that is one of the mitigation process that we conduct, so that they should be able to fly in the, safely. However, like what the CEO was saying, since 2021, we are in a marathon to try and come up to the level at which we want to be at. One of the issues is that we will be coming with what we call an ADSB, where we are going to be able to monitor every aircraft that is flying where there's no radar. So we are doing this step by step. And we haven't talked about it, but we have actually promulgated regulations on drones last year in 2024. And we haven't been able to implement it because we've come up faster than the industry itself, because there are not many people who are flying the aircraft that need to be beyond line of visual range. So in as far as monitoring the aircraft is concerned, we are still monitoring it through corridors, but we are going to have ADSBs which are going to be in place of radars, transponders, like you say. Thank you.
Yes. I also want to add on what he said, because when you are training as a pilot for a drone, you know the regulations. There is the height where you can fly a drone. So the instance where the one that you are talking about, where it can go and collide with the real planes, should not happen, because according to the regulation, when you are flying a drone, there is a maximum height you can go up to, and that is way below the aeroplane space. And also the drones, they come embedded with some technology such that there are some no-fly zones. For example, if I take a drone now and try to go to the airport, it's not going to go there. It knows that there is not it's a no-fly zone until I unlock the drone to allow it to go and fly in that area. But normally it won't just go into that area.
I was going to say that a good example, we were doing some land surveys in Francistown. We experimented whether the geofencing worked. We tried to fly into the airport. It's like it's hitting a wall, so it just stops. You cannot fly it into red zones as easily as that.
Yes. Okay, there's another question.
Good afternoon. My name is Joseph from Ministry of Transport. I have a question for Dr. regarding the bot set.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Boiling.
I just wanted to ask, when are we going to derive the benefits of the satellite? Like, where can we access the images? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, a brilliant question that all of you here, you have it. Now, let me just start by explaining the process just after the launch. I know you are all celebrating when we launched in March. Yeah. So launching is not commissioning the satellite. It is putting it in space for what is called commissioning process. So for 2.5 months, you do hardware commissioning. 2.5 months. So you test the system, the subsystem, whether it works with the other one. So there are multiple permutations that you go through just for the hardware commissioning. And then after 2.5 months, it gets 2 months of camera commissioning. Okay. So we have just finished the camera commissioning. It works fine, it's healthy, it's giving us black and white images. Very soon it will give us color. But let me just say this, BOOST, even though we have privileged access, we are going to have privileged access to the data and images. The data belongs to the ministry. It does not belong to us. So the access frameworks, protocols, commercialization is going to be under the MCI, not BOOST. So the minister is very clear that I spend this much, the data comes to me, I'm going to distribute it to the departments using frameworks that we will help them craft, all of us, not just BOOST, but all of us. So right now we have just finished commissioning, we were celebrating, we had dinner celebrating black and white images, and it's coming up good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, by the way, I have to make it clear what BOOST does. The BOOST mandate, and I have to acknowledge the presence of our DVC of innovation here, Prof. Ogu. Thank you, yes. Under leaderships of Prof. Ogu and the VC, BOOST mandate is very clear. We don't want to be jack of all trades. We do one thing. We build satellites. We are on Botswana 2, to increase the resolution. Other things like we don't want to end up being Ministry of Wildlife, water utilities, town planning, or we are managing data. We are not going to go there. We realize we are excellent in building satellites, and we are doing it only that for the government, for the public. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. One last question. There are two hands. And apparently there is no time. The time up in the letter, like he's written me a letter. So unfortunately, I think because we are going to meet even after this, the conversation doesn't end. Like I said, it's a continuous thing. But I want to say that as we wrap up, one thing stands out clearly. drones and space technologies are not just about machines, they're about the people, opportunities, and national progress. We've heard about how research, regulations, the innovations are coming together to build a future where Botswana does not just consume technology, but creates it. I want to sincerely thank our panelists for the insightful information that they shared with us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much, Member Kanyi, there for handling it very, very well, executing it quite so eloquently alongside your panelists. And a round of applause to the team. We are about to enter the last part, or last run rather, of this here afternoon by virtue of the last panel discussion, which will be moderated by Mayor Lili Rakorong, the CEO of HATAB. And her topic is infrastructure development as well as services. She will also follow the same procedure. That is, she will come and she will call her panelists, unpack her topic, and proceed to converse for 40 minutes. With a round of applause, the CEO of HATAB.
Good afternoon. I don't know why the room has got some empty seats. Yet, on this session, we will be making decisions. It's important that the industry, you are some of the people that are here, because this topic, you are the ones that are going to be making, you are the ones that are going to be leading the conversations around it. Let me call the panelists for this session. It has already been introduced. Kelebogile Dingalo, in no particular order. Wabitsa Mulifi and Tapositale. As they take their seats, let me introduce myself. My name is, has been said, Lili Rakorong, Chief Executive Officer for the Hospitality and Tourism Association of Botswana. Infrastructure development and services panel discussion is very critical to what we do at HATAB if we are to succeed. In fact, as an organization, we represent the whole ecosystem of the tourism industry. And we believe that as we engage today, it is about creating a healthy and thriving aviation industry that will help the tourism to become the tourism of choice and make Botswana the destination that we all aspire to see it being. The panelists here, they've asked me to introduce themselves. I have a team of experts that are going to be tackling the different components of this topic. Tapositale, who is a practicing urban planner with 20 years experience and is the director at JS Planning Firm, operating in Botswana and Eswatini. Tsepo is an experienced land and town planner, having worked with both government and private sector. He has led preparation of Maun Development Plan, Francistown Development Plan, and currently preparing the Maun International Airport Feasibility Study, just among others. Welcome, Tsepo. And then we have Wabitsa Mulifi, who is with the Civil Aviation Authority of Botswana. He is the Air Traffic and Aeronautical Information Manager with over 30 years experience as an air traffic controller. Wabitsa looks into airspace management, air traffic management, aeronautical information management, as well as the search and rescue services. Very important. Welcome, Wabita. And then, of course, finally, on this session, two ladies, hey? Finally. Of course, we've got Kelebogile Dingalo. She's also with the Civil Aviation Authority, Botswana, with more than 15 years' experience in the aviation industry. Kelebogile is currently under the Information and Technology team at CAAB, leading a number of aviation ICT projects, including the automation of check-in system of airlines. The most talked about cute and cars, specializes in network operations and security infrastructure. Welcome, Kelly. Of course, colleagues, delegates, as we delve into this panel, I'm going to start with Tsapo Sitale, looking into the Maun International Airport feasibility study, which is looking at the 25-year outlook. And what this seeks to do is for us to look into what it will take to position Maun International Airport as a regional hub. Of course, essentially making it an economic asset. What should the look and feel of it be? What should we do to make it attractive, bankable, competitive, lucrative? Tsapo, the topic is very close to the tourism industry. And I am not going to do a lot of talking after this. The conversation is going to be between you delegates and the panelists in order for us to be able to draw recommendations or resolutions that we can take forward for implementation. Over to you, Tsapo. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's a challenging one. We're in a last session that you will say it's a grave one. Eh? Everyone is about to go, we've had lunch and so on. Yeah, but it's an interesting one. We are talking about the Maun International Airport, MIA. It's an international airport, we know. CAAB has engaged us to look at the feasibility study for a 25-year outlook. That means we are talking about it between now until 2050. And it's a very daunting task because there are many variables. We know that nowadays things are changing at a fast pace. But our position is that, yes, the Maun International Airport, it's indeed, it can be a regional aviation hub. And what we need to look at is the mixture of what the infrastructure can offer, service diversification, and strategic positioning in line with our tourism economy. That is what is critical when you look at the Maun Airport. And I want to say up front, you know, everyone mostly gets too interested in say, where will this, what will happen? Are we staying, are we moving, and so on. But look, our job is not that. Our job is to look at scientifically, look at the data, look at what is happening and present the options to the decision makers. And the decision makers will then make a call based on the facts. Our job is to bring the data, the facts, and say, here is what we see, backed by scientific approach, and you make a call. So we don't really going to make any decision. We're just going to present scenarios and say, currently this is the current situation, there's alternative places, and you decide what best. And usually we give you about 3 options. I think we wanted to say we even give you 4 so that we give them a headache to make a choice. But the critical thing is to look at the infrastructure upgrades that is needed. People have been talking about technology. We need to see what is happening. You know, tourism integration, which is key, especially when we talk about Maun because of its positioning. And air service developments. And also look at the policy and regulatory framework with where we are, and look at the economic and social spillovers. So those were the key determinants that we were looking at when we were looking at the airport. We are moving towards finalization of the whole process. And I'll say beyond the infrastructure, because yes, the current airport is there. We know the limitations that are around the airport. We know the challenges that they face. Of course, some Code E aircrafts are able to land there, but with a limitation. We can't take Code F. Those are wide-bodied big flights. Actually, in the region, you have OR Tambo and Kinshasa being able to take Code F. Even in Cape Town, they're not yet certified for Code F. I think the experts will guide us. So we have an opportunity to do something that will be attractive and alternative in the region, talking about your big flights that can land here. His Excellency, the President, the morning talked about us being attracting long-haul flights. Those are the opportunities we need. And the good part is that we have this natural thing of being in the center of Southern Africa. And we are able to, I always laugh when I fly over coming from Europe. You have to go through Gaborone, going to land in South Africa, and then come back home. And it's mostly even regional players. Some of them, they have to go to South Africa, go to Malawi, go to South Africa, go to Namibia, and so on. So those are the opportunities that exist in terms of infrastructure. But we also went beyond that and say, what are the economic opportunities? And how can we plug in other players to make sure that they become part of this? And we also looked at the alternative sites and say, if we're to upgrade this airport or relocate it, what will be considered? And some of the criteria that we had to look at was the environmental impact, the economic viability, the social considerations, the technical feasibility from the experts. They'll talk about infrastructure and also issues of cybersecurity and all that, and other limitations that we may have. But I think what we are saying is that our airport, in a nutshell, should be an international airport that is attractive, that has a soul, so that when you arrive at it, you don't arrive in a hall that doesn't speak. You need to have a passenger-focused design. You know, when someone goes into the airport, they should feel that they're in the gateway into the Delta. It should have that presence, it should have that uniqueness, that flavor that makes someone come over. I think other people have seen, for example, the Doha airport. It gives you that eco-friendly park in the middle of it. Why can't we make ours to have probably a virtual tour of the Delta before you even go into the Delta? You know, you just go in there, there's a virtual tour of the Delta while you are in the airport. So even if you are not intended to go into the Delta, you probably want to have that experience, because now there is a virtual presentation of what we offer already being presented within the airport. You know, we know the kind of clientele, high-end clientele that we attract in the Delta, to make sure that we offer them those premier lounges that are, and we're always saying that, look, it should not be about government lounge. You know, there are people who are willing to pay for VIP lounges that they use. In other countries, they offer that. It makes money for you. They want to, they are your superstars, they want to, you know, they don't want when they come and tell, no, this one is only a government VIP lounge, you can't use it. And you have to go to Foreign Affairs to have access to it. He has the money. You tell him the price, you offer him an alternative lounge, they'll use it, they'll take the whole of it, they'll pay you. All we need is to make sure that we give the people the flexibility in terms of the designs around our airport to make sure that they're attractive. And of course, the digital transformation and technology integration, which we are talking about, that things like self-check-in, being assisted by, you know, your robotics, that you can go check in without a person assisting you. These are some of the things that we can incorporate to make ourselves competitive.
Thank you very much, Tsepo. We are now going to move on to our next panelist, and that is Wabitsa Mulifi, who is going to be looking into air navigation infrastructure development, CNS. It's about navigation, communication, civilians, that looks into the radar, which enhances visualization of air traffic controller. Ramulifi, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, moderator. Participants, very good afternoon. My name is Wabitsa Mulifi, and the air traffic controller. I was born and raised in ATC. I'll be very happy to be talking to air traffic control. At this point in time, the topic is air navigation, development of infrastructure in air navigation. And the majority of the people are saying, this guy is going to talk about infrastructure, and he's saying he's working in the air. What is he trying to talk about? Ladies and gentlemen, the airspace above Botswana is similar to the ground, the land on the ground. Up there in the air, we've got air routes. Up there in the air, we've got, down on the road, we've got roads, like the likes of A1, A10, A something. Up there in the air, you may ask the pilot. We've got the Bravo 733, the Uniform Tango 916. That is the name of the route that is connecting other states. For instance, the newly developed one, we've got Uniform Tango 916, which is from Middle East to Durban. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the airspace of Botswana. The Gaborone airspace, normally known as Gaborone Flight Information Region, is the airspace above Botswana, including the delegated airspace delegated by South Africa along the Tlokoing area. That delegated airspace is the responsibility of civil aviation or Botswana, because we are controlling the traffic departing Saratakama, going to Joburg, and separating them from the traffic coming into Saratakama. We also have a delegated airspace, which is the Caprivi Strip. We are controlling the traffic over Namibia. It's been delegated by Namibia. And airspace as it is, we have also divided it into two. We've got the upper airspace, and we've got the lower airspace. And we are here in Maun. We will be dealing with or talking to the airspace, lower airspace, because we are addressing the operation between Maun and the deltas. These are the people who are operating at the lower airspace as we are promoting tourism. Remember, those particular individuals inside that particular aircraft have to see the ground, have to see the animals on the ground. And in addition to that, we've got traffic which are flying above flight level 245. That is flying high, overflying the airspace of Botswana. Some are landing at Botswana, some are flying from Middle East to Durban, from Europe to Johannesburg. And remember, when we started the aviation world, only Joburg was busy, and most of our routes were going from Europe to Joburg. Nowadays, we've got activities in Durban, and we are crossing. And we have just developed another route that is departing from Maun to Durban, direct. Ladies and gentlemen, that will be introduction into the airspace. So as I continue, I will describe the directorate that I'm working on. I'm working in Directorate of Air Navigation Services, which is comprised of air traffic management, airspace management, aeronautical information management, search and rescue services. And remember, search and rescue services, CAAB is only dealing with coordination of the search and rescue. While BDF, Botswana Police, Wildlife, and others are are defined as search and rescue units. And also at the same, we are providing aeronautical meteorological services. And this service we have outsourced from Department of Meteorological Services. And lastly, our key business is communication, navigation, and surveillance. This particular unit, communication, navigation, they are our engineers, and they are responsible for procurement, procurement, installation of ANS systems, and also they are responsible for maintaining these particular systems. Ladies and gentlemen, the development and infrastructure in the airspace is the one that we are dealing with, and we are dealing with communication. Allow me to take you to the communication infrastructure. If you may recall some of the pilots who have been flying before I joined the world of aviation, when we started the communication, it was through the signals, and then we moved to Morse code. The old pilots and the old air traffic controllers and those who were in aviation a long time before, maybe 19-somethings, they know the Morse code, where we are saying as a means of communication. And then we moved to HF, followed by VHF. We are now currently at the VHF. And when I started defining the Gaborone airspace, and I said there is an upper and there is a lower airspace. At the upper airspace, we've got VHF frequencies, which are covering the whole airspace, as well as the lower airspace are covering using VHF. Now, where are we going in terms of communication? We are going digital. Ladies and gentlemen, I know the industry, the airspace users. I'm wondering, well, hey, we are going digital, and us, maybe we are behind. Yes, we are going that route. But at the same time, remember, we are also saving the overflights, as a complete overflight, going from Europe to South Africa. And European areas that are well equipped, that are maybe ahead of us in terms of technology of communication. So for us to be operating as seamless operations, we need to be as air traffic controllers or SCAB in par with the guys operating in South Africa, Republic of South Africa, and as well as operating from Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, another infrastructure that we are looking at is navigation technology. And when we started, remember the old pilots, we used to, if you are moving from assuming that you are moving from Gaborone to Francistown, you used to go around the corridors. The corridor might be the road, might be the railway lines. That is what we are following before you go there. At the current moment, we are dealing with DME, and we are dealing with the VORs, we are dealing with the ILS. But where are we going? We are going digital in terms of navigation. We are going PB and performance-based navigational system that are relying on the technology from the satellite. Ladies and gentlemen, the last one which enhances the visualization of the air traffic controller is surveillance. At the current moment, or let me start, when we started, we used to rely on the distance and the speed of the aircraft for us to control the traffic. For the air traffic controller to perform the function of conflict avoidance, they were relying on the ground-based equipment. That's the distance measuring equipment, as well as the level and the speed. But nowadays, there is an introduction of surveillance, which is normally called radar. Before the surveillance, there was a primary radar, whereby we are in a position to see the aircraft that is entering your airspace and see it as a target. But nowadays, with the surveillance, we need a technology of a transponder on board the aircraft, so that you can talk to the aircraft and see it visually to make situational awareness of air traffic controllers much better. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to announce that SCAB, we are moving with a project whereby we are improving the surveillance coverage in Botswana airspace. We are coming with ADSB as well as multilateration. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the little I will share with you at the current moment. What I'm simply saying that our infrastructure is basically concentrating on communication, navigation, and surveillance. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much, Wabitsa. We will proceed to Kelly Kelebogile. She's going to be discussing the accessibility, sustainability, and smart airport technologies, CUTE and cybersecurity. This seeks to emphasize on the need to use technology to improve passenger experience. Of course, this is about cybersecurity, deployment of cybersecurity solutions, development of advanced network infrastructure in our airports, and digitization of Botswana airports, which is the future. Kelebogile, please go ahead, indulge us.
Thank you, Lily. I think we can all see this team is detail-driven We don't have notepads next to us. So technology plays a crucial role in enhancing passenger experience. In line with this, CAB is committed to a technologically driven approach. And to support this vision, CAB, in partnership with our government, has several programs that are focused on strengthening ICT infrastructure. I'm going to name a few key ones. Firstly, we have what we call Maun and Kasane Queued and Cars project, which is the common use terminal equipment or common use self-service, which assists the airlines to seamlessly check in their customers when they are traveling. What are the benefits of this project? It encourages shared use of equipment. Multiple operators can use the same check-in counters, gates, and boarding equipment, reducing the need for dedicated infrastructure. It promotes cost efficiency. Airports and airlines save on hardware and maintenance costs by sharing terminal resources. It improves terminal space utilization. I believe we all know that our terminals have limited spaces. So if we have shared resources within the terminal in terms of check-in systems, it encourages the airlines to share such infrastructure, and we are able to fully utilize the limited space that we have in our airports. It also promotes strengthened security screening through dual verification of boarding passes in line with your ID and passport. This project is at implementation stage and is to be launched in October 2025. That is the extension of Maun, the extension of Queued and Cars project from Gaborone Airport to Maun and Kasane. We are bringing services to the people. The second project that we have launched is the deployment of advanced network infrastructure and Internet of Things within cyber-resilient environment in our airports. I believe when you fly into our airports, you all realize we have what you call airport Wi-Fi. Feel free to browse through that connection because it's secure. Thirdly, we have the deployment of cybersecurity solutions aimed at implementing robust measures to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of secure platforms and systems. When our airlines check in, they take your credentials, they take your cards, they take your passports, and we ensure that that is fully covered when it comes to cybersecurity. Let me highlight a few cyber threats that we are all aware of. I think we are very much aware of phishing, malware, and ransomware. However, I want to emphasize on one particular type of attack that is very relevant to our industry: tailgating attack. This is when an intruder gets access to an environment of which they are not given access to. A perpetrator may pretend to be a co-worker, let's say at the airport, and ask someone to maybe say open a door for them. Naturally, as Botswana, we are trusting, and we tend to always give way to anyone we meet, so long as they seem friendly to us. Secondly, the attacker may pose as a delivery person or a plumber at a particular operator's hangar. They dress up the part to prevent raising suspicion. And in most cases, you realize that the airport has different people. We have passengers, we have workers, we have people, and in most cases, those people, they go in and out of the screening points, and that needs to be monitored. Technologies like queued cars and security verification systems are in place to help us ensure that we are secured and we indeed permit people who are actually permitted to go to areas like the runway areas where not everybody is permitted without proper verification. And the good thing about our the current Botswana government is they pronounced that they'll be establishing a cybersecurity authority which would drill down to us having sectorial sets. What are sets? These are actually cybersecurity response teams. So in this case, I believe as an aviation sector, we'll have a sectorial set where we'll now have a sit and discuss matters of cybersecurity in our airports. Lastly, our true north. Where are we going as the Civil Aviation Authority of Botswana in terms of automation, digitization? We have a program that has been submitted for the NDP 12, or let me say BTP project that we had a long discussion on in the past month of August. It's named Digitization of Botswana Airports. And this project involves a number of projects that will enhance our passenger experience, one of which is Airport Operational Database. This project will integrate and manage airport resources, passenger movements, baggage handling, and runway taxi operations to improve aircraft packing efficiency and safety, so that we avoid having limited space when it comes to parking in our taxiway or runway. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've just been reminded we've got 10 minutes left. And I would like to use these 10 minutes very well. And this is to you delegates, before I can say what I'm thinking to the panelists. I would like the delegates to start the conversation and engagement with the panelists as they have shared in these three key areas. Over to you. I believe there are microphones around. Your hands, please. There's a hand at the back. Another one here. Of course, Honorable Shalashando, third.
Good afternoon. My name is Lesh Muitela. I was hoping, just looking at the theme, I was hoping that we needed to have also considered to add on those three C's there, connectivity, competitiveness, and compliance. We needed also to add conservation efforts, which plays a quite vital role in the environment where we are at. And that is probably why this room is full of business people and investors, is because of the tourism. But we sort of left out the conservation efforts in this deliberation today. I haven't heard anyone talking about conservation, but there is potential in air transport to enhance the need to conserve what we have. It's just it's not a question, but I'm just commenting that I would have loved to hear what the innovation is bringing. So perhaps the panel has something to share. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Willie Filemoakufi is my name. My comment, I think it's a comment, is directed to the first panelist to speak. The guys who are looking at Maun Airport to do a feasibility study up till 2050. Very interesting. My comment is just to say, it has been said since this morning that Maun Airport is the busiest in the region. It is also one of the very old airports in the country. And with those two facts put together, one would have expected that as of now, the size of Sesretsa Airport should have been here, first of all. Maybe later we could have a replica in Gaborone being a capital city. So I think as we are going through the feasibility study, we will take some of these sentimental issues nationally and advise the decision makers accordingly. Lastly, in the mid-20s, around 2006, Air Brussels went into a marathon of making sure they fly to all diamond-producing countries. And they did cover a lot of countries in Africa, but Botswana was not one of that. And those who were in the industry were very jealous of that. I happened to be the director then. We went with the peers to Brussels to try and lure them to include Botswana as one of the diamond-producing countries and make sure that they fly to Botswana. And their response was that they were very considerate of the fact, and they were very interested. They would have loved to include Botswana, but they were limited by the equipment. The equipment at the moment could not make it from Brussels to Gaborone. But it was very clear that the piece of equipment would have made it if it had to fly from Brussels to Maun. So as we look at the feasibility study, let us consider all these factors. And lastly, that trip in 2006 was part of something that had started about 5 years earlier, where the government was trying to attract long-haul players to come into Botswana. And as we all know, the main reason we were not able to convince international airlines to come to Botswana then was because of the proximity between SSKI and OR Tambo. Most of those airlines that were interested were operating big birds or large birds. But at the same time, much as they had wanted to come to Botswana, because of what the president was saying this morning, peaceful, what, as he was articulating, it is a fact that they would have also wanted to go and land at OR Tambo for obvious reasons. Now imagine if the size of the airport at SSKA was in Maun, we would have long had long-haul carriers passing through Botswana. Food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's good to come immediately after the last comment that was made, because I wanted to stress the point around the Maun airport as we are rethinking it. and I was going to make the point that possibly Maun does, and this is not out of selfish reasons, this has been said by someone not from Maun, the numbers qualify Maun for a big, if you want to be ambitious and service the region in terms of the numbers, it's got to be, it will have to be Maun. And I just want, because the minister responsible and the deputy are also here, in trying to influence those doing the feasibility study, that it may make sense to also consider considering Maun to be a special economic zone for aviation. I know this falls under Gaborone, but if you look at what we intend to present for Gaborone as a special economic zone, it's so loaded. Aviation is one out of about a list of what, about 10. Why not just focus, at least for aviation, on Maun? Because if you declare it a special economic zone, you're taking away also the red tape associated with conventional way of treating investors. We could be looking possibly at a long-term plan of having Maun also as an area where you could venture into things like aircraft manufacture. Excuse me if I sound crazy, but just expanding it beyond just trying to get an airport. And again, because my colleagues from the ministry are here, you know, attracting these big birds, as it was used, for passengers, my assumption would be that it also goes with big birds for cargo. But I know we've recently I've heard that this is being considered for Silibi Pikwi. I have nothing against Silibi Pikwi. It's my hometown. I grew up there. I'm deeply invested in the town. But if you're going to duplicate, to try and say, let's have one big one in Maun for passengers, let's have another one for cargo, in this era, where the resources are a major revenue inflow, is a major concern. I think we need to reconsider. And the last point, because nowadays I make it a habit when I'm traveling outside Botswana to mention to people that within Botswana I come from Maun. People do know about the Okavango Delta. But those who have come will tell you that, but the problem is the number of connections I have to make to get to Maun. Tourists would prefer boarding one plane and landing at their preferred destination, or at the most 2 connections. But here, you're possibly talking, in some instances, 3 connections. And it's a major, major turn-off. So as you conclude as you say, you can only recommend. I hope you recommend appropriately and the decision makers have had.
Thank you very much. Panelists, please, you've been taking notes of the questions, comments, where possible. Please offer your responses. I will also offer my own response. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me take the first question that is talking to the conservation. During my presentation, the previous one, I was talking to the performance-based navigation. When addressing the performance navigation implementation of that particular infrastructure, we are dealing with the direct routing. We are dealing with free routing operations, whereby an aircraft enter Gaborone Airfire or Botswana airspace and go straight to the exit point. So we are promoting that in terms of performance-based navigation. Remember, initially I was saying, before the PBN and before the ground facility viewer DMEs, the traffic used to route via the corridors. And they were taking a longer distance and a longer time. So there was a lot of emission, fuel burning, and also track mile was there. So when we are doing the PBN, you are just going straight to your point. By reducing, now you are reducing the track miles and reducing the fuel burning as well as emissions. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll want to speak to the issue of the outlook. one of the things that we need to consider is what are our advantages, what are our disadvantages. One of the challenges we have, it's the numbers. When we looked at the international commercial passenger forecast, we were looking at about 200,000. To be specific, it was about 2,140,000 by the year 250 as the numbers will attract in terms of international commercial passengers. And the numbers are not that high, mainly because we are a high-end tourism, high-end, low volume. So that means we are not for the masses. Our delta is such that it's sensitive, you have very few numbers, and therefore you don't bring huge numbers internationally. So we need to look at that factor and say, beyond just the tourists, how can we service the region instead of relying on tourism? But if you look at the domestic commercial passenger forecast, our forecast was showing that you can have up to 600,000 in terms of the passengers by 2050. And that also needs to be supported. Actually, they say this, the aviation specialists will tell you that for an airport to profit or to be above the bottom line, you need a minimum of 1 million passengers to make it. And I want to urge the politicians to say, I've not heard anyone saying there is a need to look at the policy of population in our country. Other countries have said one for dad, one for mom, one for the country, and introduce incentives because our population is a disadvantage. We are resourced, but our numbers, and I think the CEO spoke about earlier on our disadvantages in terms of the numbers and so on earlier on. But we need to look at those and say, how can we position ourselves? And probably being a regional player servicing neighboring countries could increase those numbers and allow us to take more passengers into the area. I think, like honorable member said, Gaborone is near Joburg or Tambo. So it's going to be a challenge to compete because they're already established, even the service providers are established. But Maun is a very opportune space here, considering where it is in the region. There are some countries that we can service, especially around us, in terms of the flights that we can bring. The non-scheduled operative passenger costs, you are talking about the forecast up to 250, it's about 20,000 because of the fact of our setup in our tourism being a low volume, high-end low volume. So you are challenged in terms of pushing the numbers. Yes, cargo forecast, we also did cargo volume forecast. It was around 53,000 tons that we could, and we know that there have been some requests by your Ethiopian Airlines for cargo into this, but there were limitations. Those are some of the limitations of the current airport. When it comes to cargo, it's limited to take cargo services, which is one of the things that it's a huge limitation. Of course, I take my brother here who speak about the instrumentation side of things. That there have been some improvement. Yes, there can be more that can be done, but I think currently the limitation that we could see was we have a single runway, which could take up to code E with a maximum takeoff weight of about 90%. But if you look at issues of the apron, if you look at passenger terminal buildings, those are the challenges we have, and those are the things we need to look and say, what can we do? So I think I wanted to speak onto the area that let's look at what could position us, what could work for us in terms of us as Maun, to make our airport. The other last one was on the issue of having Maun as a SES. We were fortunate enough to also do the Maun development plan. One of the things we did was that behind the airport, we created a free enterprise zone. And our idea, when we were talking with the elderly people, our motovec wa the aeroplane, it was a simplistic way of saying it, but we were saying we know many what you call pilots come from as far as America to gain some hours using this flights in the Delta and then go back. It's an opportunity. Most of the supplies from the aviation industry comes from South Africa. It's an opportunity for us to tap into those. So one of the reasons we put that free enterprise zone was to attract industries around the aviation sector to set up here and to make some business here. So that was one of the reasons we're considering that. And of course, depending on the decisions, we had looked at about 3 sites within the area. It was, which are options? All right. So he didn't want me to speak those. Yeah. So we are looking at the Chanuha, Samidupi, Tsanekona. Tsanekona as those alternatives or for that. So, but those are options that will be explored, and we'll put the figures on what it means to do that. Thank you.
I believe there's going to be further engagement with the stakeholders on how to conclude on the development of the Maun International Airport. Wabitsa, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, you know they have to fly, and at the end of the day, they have to land. What I'm talking to is that he was calling to talk to instruments that we are supposed to use in terms of landing the traffic in Maun or whatsoever. Yes, in the air, we've got instrument approach procedures that can take the aircraft, and also we've got the runway, but we've got the parallel taxiway, and we are looking at the length and the strength of that particular one. Can they take the big beds, like Mr. Markov mentioned? So, air navigation services and airports that are working closely together in terms of taking numbers. When we are dealing with instrument approach procedures, we are asking ourselves, how many aircraft can we take in an hour to land? And can the runway absorb those? Can the airplane absorb them in the same hours? I'm talking to collaboration decision making, whereby the airport operations, they are saying how many bags can we handle in an hour? And how many passengers can we handle in an hour? And then we take that aircraft into the taxiway, then into the runway. And we are saying, how many can we take in an hour? For us to improve in the world of aviation, in terms of airport operations, in terms of air navigation, we need to start measuring ourselves. Madam, thank you very much.
Master of Proceedings is about to come over the stage. He's saying we've shot over our time, but before we...
You landed the runway.
Okay, let me take this opportunity to thank the panelists. They have done a thorough job in discussing the different topics, and I believe that the conversation is going to continue, but takeaways from this is that we need to engage further as the Air Brussels has been brought to the attention. So Air Access team, let us go ahead and see if we can explore on that. The Maun airport development, further engagement has to be done. Maun as an aviation hub or special economic zone, we have to explore that, Honorable Minister. And this is about really positioning Botswana as the tourism destination. Perhaps help us prioritize which areas come first. Let us give a round of applause for our awesome panelists. They have done a great job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marakorong, and your esteemed panelists for executing that topic oh so well. On that note, allow me to put it to you this way, we have actually come to the end of the first day of conferencing here at the Aviation Pitso 2025. I'd like to say let's have a refueling session at the Crystal Riley's this evening at 7 p.m. courtesy of the good people out at Puma Energy. Folks, I'm Joy Mutibi. And tomorrow, day 2 commences at 8 a.m. And it will be led with remarks by the Assistant Minister of Transport and Infrastructure, Honorable Guahila Tamelang. So let's gather tomorrow at 7:30. But for now, good afternoon. Catch you later.
And I say to the tour guides that if you want part of that history, I am happy to share part of that history. There is a yard along the street, Independence Avenue. For a long time, it was the only yard with a wall. A certain gentleman, we were told then, an American, I believe, Mr. Dawson, lived there, one of the only houses with a swimming pool. All the young people in Gaborone used to swim there free of charge, without permission, illegally. And I was the youngest, and I was hired for that process of swimming illegally. I was hired as the security guard. So I used to stand at the top of the wall because I was small enough to stand at the top of the wall. And the way they knew that Mr. Dawson was on his way, as soon as he turned by the Catholic Church, I would jump from the wall and they knew Mr. Dawson is on his way. I knew all the yards that had strawberries and raspberries. Of course, I wasn't responsible for helping myself, but I knew all the young people who helped themselves to the strawberries. Once in a while, a fire would break out. I remember one of the years, a fire broke out by what is now the National Institute of Health Sciences. And I remember a newsreader at the time, Rebaone Mokodi, narrating a story how an unknown assailant was responsible for that fire. Unknown assailant. It is recorded as such in the history books. Well, I think I know who the assailants were. So the tour operators must come and see me. I will spill all the beans. There was a yard, Remokori's house, along Independence Avenue. It was particularly perilous adventure to drive along that road immediately after knock-off time, because he drove a Chevrolet, which was very difficult to navigate, and he tended to cause a lot of accidents. I'm happy to tell you the history of that. Gaborone has a rich history. I used to come to this museum almost every day because I discovered a tortoise which I brought to this museum when I was about 4 years old. And I used to come here every day to check on the tortoise. I used to walk around the entire Gaborone. I know every single pathway. Used to play soccer in every part of Gaborone, including Old Naledi.
the World Bank Group actually comprises 5 institutions. What we would commonly call the World Bank actually comprises the IBRD, the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and the International Development Association. These